Welcome to Inside Podcast. Now, my journey began like many before me, a search for something more. I have a deep yearning for truth, and I always have. And I was finally ready for the mysteries of the universe. When I was young, I had strange experiences, and that stayed with me to this day. From remembering astral projection, flying through the streets as a child and having repetitive dreams with meanings and visions, to actual supernatural type experiences, which, to be honest, growing up as a child scared the shit out of me. Scared me a lot. I knew I had a connection beyond the VIEL. Being a popular, sporty kid, active kid, got into a bit of mischief, finding my way in life like all others, seeing where I fitted. I just wasn't ready for beyond that VIEL yet. Now, I had a pretty bad fall as a child, and throughout my childhood often ended with visits to the hospital. It continued in my 20s. Historically, people who have had spiritual experiences, awakenings, tends to be often the back of near-death experiences, traumas, etc. And this was also what gave me the key to the higher realms. Now, without realizing it, I'd obviously been accessing this for years, but I never realized. And in my mid-20s, I was involved in probably the worst accident I've been involved in my life. I was a passenger in the back of a taxi, coming back from holiday, and the driver just blacked out and drove into another car in a cable pole, and I was lucky to be alive, extremely lucky to be alive. I had to be cut out of the car. My elbow, 2 inches above my left elbow, my arm was snapped completely and facing the other way. I had to tuck it back in so it wasn't just hanging loose. It took us a full year to recover, and it played an enormous part in my mental health. I'd suffered for years and just hid it and dealt with it, but because of the accident, the time I had away from work, it had a huge effect on me. Now, look, in the past 15 years, I have fractured my elbow, I have fractured my ankle twice, I fractured the other ankle on top of it, I've done the ligaments. I broke my wrist in 2 places which had to be pulled back in place, and when I was 1 year old, I actually fell down the flight of stairs. And my mum found me, and I was lucky to be alive. So all throughout my life, I've had weird moments. I remember as a child falling, slipping, and sticking a pen in my eye, and I had to go to hospital. It just seemed like something was always pushing me into these moments, but also something always saving me in these moments, and that also scared me to go beyond the curtain until the car accident, which seemed to just take away all fear at all. Going through something so bad and experiencing it and coming out of it obviously gives you that strength, like everything in life. So, and this is the same with everybody who goes through this, and this is probably where, especially the fall when I was a child and the things that have happened to us since, and probably where the anxiety stems from, waiting for something bad to happen all the time. But that fear I once had just disappeared, and I was ready then to delve into the unsealed world, which, you know, I had nothing to lose at this point. I was pretty rock bottom, and again, little did I know I'd already been accessing these types of things for years, these ways, without even knowing. It wasn't until I got to the deeper realms of these subjects and I realised that I was doing what all the ancient teachings and the Gnostics go by, I already knew and was doing them. Now years passed from that moment of my accident, and I was working for myself. Everything on the surface was great, but I was still being haunted by the previous things that were happening. And again, the stress and everything that was going on in my life with work and the usual things in life, my mental health grew increasingly worse. And I was just done. I was ready. I'd been told my knee, my back was done, and that was it. Everything just collapsed on us, and that was it. That was me imploding. That's the point. Everything in the universe implodes for the next creation. So, and my journey started with one prayer, as I've said, and because the timing was so perfect, it was ready, and something was just pulling us in constantly. That one prayer, that's it. That's all it took. Now for me, it started with a series of subtle synchronicities, dreams and signs and some very mad messages, and all starting to become clearer and clearer. And I was loving every minute when I started. One of the first things that I was told was to go get a great understanding of religion. The thing is, when I started, I had absolutely no knowledge of most subjects. It was just my own intuition. So I was told to go and get faith. I actually attended a Redeemed Christ Church, met some great people, had a good time, and it really started to delve into subjects more and more as I was doing it. So I was going from a Redeemed Christ Church, going home to study different religions, and I was seeing the interlink between all things, and that was the point. And that day that I decided to go back to church, it was the day after my prayer. I had a message at 3:33 p.m. and that was it. I was done. That was me hooked, and that was me ready to go. And I did, and I just kept going with it. Now, my only affiliation with religion was I played a couple of parts at school, as most people do, standing in the background as a wise man or whatever it was, and I'd seen the film Passion of the Christ. That was my only affiliation with religion. But I started, and I already had a knowledge that all of the Bible was symbolic. So it baffled me even at that point when I first started that people take these things quite literally, but I was going to see it for myself. Now, amongst that, because I was delving in all subjects and being guided, everything I was being guided to checkpoints, I was even being told to go to certain places to take on the energy. I'd been in church twice a week for 11 months, and I was doing all of this studying, researching, following signs. It was 12 hours a day. I was frazzled, my brain was frazzled, and at this time was also when I was very deep in the UFO subject. I ended up doing a diplomacy in ufology for a bit of fun. Spoke to people who had contact and everything like that, and there was just deeper knowledge coming in, deeper knowledge constantly, getting a great understanding of all things as one. And then after one night of contact again, I was told that it's the law of one, it's all one, put it all together. And in that moment, science, religion, astrology, cosmos, everything just seemed to it was like somebody giving us the edges to a massive jigsaw puzzle, and I was ready to start filling in the middle, go beyond that curtain and have a look. And to be honest, what I have been shown, I have no right to know. And they were all given to us at times, the angel numbers at 222, 333, 444, 000, mirrored numbers daily. I was getting, still do daily, get 15, 20 a day sometimes with messages. I'm just channeling constantly, and it's all because of what's coming in this time. And the greater communication I had, the greater I was getting back. So as I was getting these messages at 1212 and 333, I was following them and going that extra more, and then it was leading to dreams, things that were bugging us that I couldn't solve. I was solving them in my dreams. I'd gone through all the Kundalini, I'd gone through all the awakening steps, and it was incredible seeing it layer by layer, and the whole journey's been phenomenal. Now, at the very start of this, in this room, I had an almost out-of-body experience, because it was one of the first times I took on that challenge, that energy to channel. And the information I was given was profound. I'd never heard anything like this before, and the direct line between energy and consciousness, what I was receiving, was just, I've heard people talk about it, I've always wondered what it was like. This was just on a level that cannot even be described. It was just the similarities between an out-of-body experience, if you could imagine. Now, in this moment, I was told that it was Archangel Michael, and it reminded me of an experience I had about 8 years previous, and I'd never thought about this ever since. And I went to see a spiritualist. She come with a very good reputation. She found a little girl behind a wall in a pub. She was on TV and everything. And I went, and she told me that I'd come across a Michael who would be a guide and a protector. I'd never thought about it at that moment, but in that one moment, when my mind just went to that deep subconscious level, brought it out and just molded it together, and just the information I was then shown and what I was shown, and the visions I had in my mind, was just unbelievable, like an imprint of light and brightness and just everything. And I've had a couple of weird things happen in this room also. This was right at the start, and when this happened, I actually, because I thought about Susan, the spiritualist, and I'd had this experience with Archangel Michael, I actually wrote down that I bet in the next couple of weeks I'll probably come across Susan. You know what it's like if you synchronize, you might text someone, or you've never heard somebody from ages and they turn up the next day. And yeah, I just knew that synchronicity was going to be there. And also I prayed and I said to Archangel Michael, look, if this is real, obviously I think I'm going insane here, but if this is real, then I'd read about a week previous about white feathers being a big spiritual message. Again, I was totally unknown to it at the time, so I asked for white feathers. Now, the next day, 24 hours later, I take the dog for a walk. I go to the bottom of the street. I just live a few doors up, and when I turned the corner, I remembered about this prayer. I remembered last night about this prayer and what I'd gone through that prayer, and I was like, oh my, I wonder if I see something. And as I thought it, right in front of us was just a huge pile of white feathers. Unbelievable. Now, again, I was trying to convince myself, no, this is just unbelievable, this is unbelievable. I found that once I come out of a big channeling session, it's a lot, and I need that time. So for this to happen straight after was a lot. As I took the dog out, came in, my mum rang me and said that she had tickets to go and see the spiritualist, Susan. So at the very start, one of my first ever channeling nights, these little things happened. I'd been writing down that night about spiritual psychology. When I went and seen Susan, the spiritualist, she was actually just started doing spiritual psychology, so we had a good understanding about it. And just all these little synchronicities that happen and at the times, and you're getting the signs and messages at the very start. This is where it started with me. I was getting predictions about sporting events. I was entering the Akashic Records. One of my good predictions was at the very start was a sporting event for the World Cup in 2022, Argentina and France, and I was told that Argentina would win on penalties. It would be 2s each. It would go to extra time, 3-3, and they'd win on penalties. Messi would be the man, and written in the stars. All happened, obviously. When I went back on the message, I didn't realise till weeks later the time, because obviously it saves it on the time, and that's one thing with this journey. I've recorded everything, absolutely everything, and on the time it was 22:33. So these little synchronicities started to happen, and now again, pushing it with the religion, pushing it with all religions, all subjects, the vast information I was getting, 12 hours a day, just batter. What I've learned in 4 years should have took somebody 25 years. It's just phenomenal. And This was at a time when I started contacting, meditating for UFOs. I knew it was coming, I was told, so I started doing it. I had a few recorded, turned up on demand, to be honest, as I connected and I asked and I said, come now. I was getting bright flashes in the skies. I recorded them. Good recordings, great, but I needed something a little bit more conclusive. And one night I knew it was coming. I'd been told days previous. I'd been at the beach one day, I came in, I was nice and relaxed, and I contacted, I meditated. And as I came to, my brain was a bit fuzzy from the meditation, and I just heard a very strong masculine voice say, record now to your right, record now to your right. I thought it was the next door neighbour. I didn't know what was happening. Nothing was there, and then it dawned on us. So I got my phone and I recorded to the right. We know the vast area of the sky, it's quite big, and right where I pointed, 6 huge orbs just flew straight into my camera lens. It was undeniably the greatest thing I've ever seen. But to see 6 huge orbs in tandem as a triangle, but moving, intersecting all with each other, up, down, left, right, move. At that time, at the exact time to be told to record now to the right, not to the left, not up there, not there, not there, at that time, and these things flew in my orb, was just unbelievable. I was absolutely sobbing at the end of it, and I'm not afraid to share that, because when you go searching for something higher than you're told exists and you get it, and you get a recording, unbelievable. But I've got pictures, I've got recordings, and this is the thing with my contact. It is not the recordings that you're going to see why I've had contact. It is the information I am bringing forward from that contact. You see, there's many experts around the world who have had this type of contact. They've said it's like putting a USB stick in the ear and downloads of information, and it can't be any righter than that. It's a complete different paradigm shift on a whole new level, because you're not only tucked to it behind the curtain, you're given information that you just couldn't even know existed. And it's the information that I got from the contact which I now bring, which is proof that of my contact. And that is one thing I swear by. I'll show you the videos, I'll show you the pictures, but again, people have been bringing these things forward for a long time now. We're seeing it right now with drones everywhere, and people are running around like headless chickens, but people still, they want more, and the best way for that is information. And you'll see through the information that I have that the contact was very real. It's the law of one. That's how I know all subjects are interlinked with one rope. Where, how they're all just different versions of the same story.